These wheels are really clean. And well, these wheel arches, they're really not. So today we are gonna see how many Armour Detail Supply products it takes to dial in the wheel arches so we can get this E39 M5 back together and start polishing some paint. There are very few areas of a car where you can get really aggressive with your cleaning techniques, but the wheel arches, well, they're definitely one of those places. First thing we're gonna do, rinse them down with the pressure washer, get in every little nook and cranny and blow out any dirt you can. Move straight into iron remover. We're gonna spray it on, probably let it dwell from 3 to 5 minutes, and then immediately hit it with ADS wheel cleaner before we rinse it. From there, this is where the amount of effort you put in, the elbow grease you're willing to do is kind of gonna determine the result you get. And because we need these as clean as possible for those later protection steps, I'd recommend just doing it until there's no more dirt falling off. You can run your finger down the liners and it's clean. Might be 5 minutes, might be 20 minutes per wheel well, but whatever you do now, you'll thank yourself later down the road. First thing, I'm gonna rinse these down. Our wheel wells are now pretty clean. You can see there's some permanent cosmetic damage. Rocks hitting hard plastic for 20 plus years isn't the biggest recipe for success. You can see here there's some more permanent structural damage, but in terms of the way the car drives and handles, none of this matters. It's all superficial. Once we coat this, it's gonna look a whole lot better. Now we're gonna move on to these strut housings. The strut housings are pretty significantly pitted. You can see here, it almost looks like dirt as if it would come out, but it does not, I assure you. On this right side, I did a little bit of a test spot with a little 3M Scotch-Brite pad. This is typically used to prep paint before you go to prime or paint it on the exterior of a car, but it does a great job at removing minor pitting from things like metals. So we're gonna go all over these strut housings, get them cleaned up as good as possible, and then when we coat them, it should lock in that finish for a pretty significant amount of time. I think we got them to a point where they're super clean and they're ready to be hit with the protection, but there's one last thing I'd like to do before then. The brake rotors, of course, once the pads are compressed when the wheels are on the car, that surface rust will be gone, but the calipers are looking pretty gross. So what I'd like to do is use a product that I've used about 10 times now. It's Pour15's caliper paint in the color silver. I actually did my Land Cruiser brakes, used them for about 2 winters, didn't clean them once, and they still look great at the end of that. And I think that says a lot about a product because Canadian winter is no joke and it really ruins finishes on pretty much everything, especially stuff that's under the car. So we're gonna take the clips out, wire wheel them down, probably spend about 10 minutes on each corner, getting them as good as possible. They don't have to be flawless because as of right now, they are disgusting. They look like boat anchors, but once they're cleaned up, wipe them down with some IPA or some prep and then hit them with the caliper paint. Do 2 coats, let that cure out, and then we can hit everything in the wheel arch with our Armour Detail Supply ceramic coating and really get this stuff dialed in. Rust came off the calipers super easy. Because they're so thick, it typically moves to the outside and just flakes right off. Makes it very simple. Now we're gonna hit them with some isopropyl alcohol, undiluted, spray it all over the caliper, and then just wipe it off with a towel. That'll prep them for our first paint step, and I'll show you what we're gonna use to paint the brakes. This is the Pour15 caliper paint in silver. It comes with this full kit. I wasn't able to buy it in just the actual can, so it came with the degreaser and the metal prep and the rust preventative, but I just like to use the actual silver paint. This is what has worked the best for me in the past. So we're gonna do 2 coats of this, all 4 brakes, and then for the actual little clip and the lug nuts, we're gonna hit them with a coat of matte black paint while this is drying. Then we can start to reassemble it, and we're gonna ceramic coat everything from there. The silver caliper paint is on all 4 corners now. It looks pretty good. The backs were a little difficult to get to, but we made it happen on jack stands. Once the wheel is on, I think they look quite a bit more natural because they're kind of hidden and shadowed, so the bright silver's toned down a bit, and it looks really good in my opinion. Now I just have the caliper clips here. Going to hit them with a wire wheel and then to spray some black paint on them just so they match the silver. We're not putting rusty ones back. Then we can move on to coating everything. While those dry, we're gonna take some isopropyl alcohol and an older towel and hit the fender liners, making sure we get rid of any grease, leftover dirt that might be there to prep them for our ceramic coating. I'm also gonna hit the strut housing and the brake caliper. Once again, we have Armour Detail Supply's quartz coating, typically meant for paintwork, but it can go on a bunch of different substrates. Today, we're gonna be using it on the fender liners inside the wheel wells. Previously, you saw me use it on the plastic valve covers in the engine bay. Those turned out fantastic. This is a pretty similar application. The fender liners, 20 plus years old, completely dried out. They look terrible. Some of them are barely even together, but this is gonna help. It's gonna give us a little bit of juice. So we're gonna apply a liberal layer on the fender liners, no removal, no level. We're just gonna let it soak in and do its thing. We need about as much product on there as we can get just because of how old and dry these are. Hopefully at the end of this, they look somewhat to the OEM finish of a nice satiny factory black. We will see. We're not gonna use this applicator. This one is nice. I'm gonna save it for the paint. We're just gonna use a CarPro micro suede extra I had. That way we don't have to worry about ruining it. We can just layer it on because it's gonna get dirty. The fender liners are as clean as possible, but you're 100% still gonna pick up dirt and tar that's just impossible to get off there. It's inevitable, so we're not gonna worry about that. Apply our coating, let it sit, and I'll show you guys what it looks like.